Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Lorden Arts channel. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. Case Cracked is the show where we look into a mystery and what are the critical pieces that help solve that mystery. Today's episode features two cases, one that sort of inspired the solve in the other. We're calling today's episode Finding Me. Child abductions in China have been a serious problem, exacerbated by strict birthing laws that have thankfully changed in recent years. It used to be that boys were sought after to carry on the family line and help with hard work, whereas girls were seen in a lesser light by couples wanting to have children. Some chose to buy their child, creating a black market and profitability for kidnappers. This left some families broken and unable to move on with their lives after the disappearance of their biological child. In 1995, Guo Jingwei was born to Guo Gangtang and his wife, Zhang Wenj. The family lived simply but happily in their home province of Shandong for 2 years before tragedy struck. On September 21st, 1997, while Guo Jingwei played at their home's door and his mother cooked inside, an unknown woman lured him away. When his family realized he had disappeared, they, along with neighbors and friends, combed the region looking for the boy. After several months, nothing had been found, and everyone started to go back to their normal lives, all except for Guo Gangtang and his wife. She was racked with guilt over the loss of their son and felt that she should have prevented the abduction. Guo Gangtang, however, couldn't rest unless he did something. So he attached large banners with his son's picture to the back of his motorcycle and set off to raise awareness of the abduction and to find his son. Through many provinces and thousands of miles, he drove with his banners that asked questions and gave details. Son, where are you? And Dad is looking for you to come home were some of the statements on his signs, along with information about his son that even mentioned a scar that he had on his left little toe. For more than 20 years, he traveled through more than 20 provinces as he searched and chased sightings and tips. With no income, he used his life savings to continue his journey while he slept under bridges and begged when he had no money. He broke bones in traffic accidents, was robbed by highway robbers, and eventually went through 10 motorcycles. Through it all, good things would come from this journey, even though Guo Jingwei was still not found. In 2012, he founded an organization and website that would help parents find their missing children. He is said to have helped dozens in reuniting their families. In 2014, he started a charity to help other parents in his situation. In 2015, a movie inspired by his journey was released called Lost and Love, which did very well at the box office. Sadly, the film ended with the father never finding his son. Guo Gangtang said that he hoped to let his son know that he was speaking to him through the movie, trying to let him know that he was still searching for him. In 2021, he took to China's Douyin, known as the Chinese version of TikTok, to spread awareness about child abductions and his search for his son. He told state television, "If I'm at home, the human trafficker is not going to deliver him back to me." Blood samples were taken from Guo Gangtang and his wife and were added to the national DNA database that helps to reunite families, but nothing was found. In June of 2021, police used age-progressed photos of Guo Jingwei to search databases for people who looked like the photos, and they got a match to a man living in Henan province. DNA soon confirmed that this was indeed their son, and the story that unfolded was frightening. It was found that 2 suspects were involved in the crime. In the late 90s, a man who was identified as Hu and his girlfriend, known as Tang, wanted to marry. Unfortunately, they had no money and chose to steal a boy from his family and sell him for the money that they needed. After the abduction, they took an inner-city coach to Henan province and sold him. Guo continued to live there for the next 24 years. Although news outlets are not saying how the two were caught, they both confessed to the crime when they were confronted. To mark the family's discovery of their missing son, Guo Gangtang and his wife bought more than 1,000 pounds of candy that they gave to their neighbors in celebration. Finally, in July of 2021, the family was reunited in Shandong. "My baby, you come back," shouted his mother Zhang Wenj when she saw her son. When the three met, there were tears and hugs all around. Guo Gangtang stated that he holds no ill will toward the family that bought his son. He also said that how Guo Zhenzhen chose to treat his adoptive parents from this point forward was up to him. In the end, he chose to continue living with his adoptive parents, who he said treated him very well. He also said that he's proud of his biological father and will visit him regularly. Thankful that their ending was happier in real life than the movie version, now the couple say that they're content to see what the future holds for them. "Our child has been found," Guo Gangtang said. "From now on, only happiness is left." Our second case has a familiar start, but a very different path to its conclusion. Li Jingwei was 4 years old when he was taken from his family in 1989, and he remembers it. A neighbor lured him away from his home with the promise of going to look at cars, which were rare near his rural home in Yunnan province. The neighbor then took him behind a hill to a road where several kidnappers awaited. Through his tears and cries for help, Li Jingwei was loaded onto the back of a bicycle and taken to a train station. He was taken 1,000 miles away, where he was sold to a family in Henan province. Because of his age, he couldn't remember many vital details, such as who his parents were, where he was from, or how old he actually was. However, he could remember his home and the surrounding area with crystal clarity. Shortly after he was abducted, he began to draw out those details. He could remember where the school was, along with the bamboo forest, mountains, and a small pond near his lost home. Before he attended school, he would draw his map on the ground, and afterward, in notebooks, it became an obsession. As the years passed by, he thought less and less of the abduction as work, marriage, and family life took over. After seeing Guo Gangtang's family reunite with their son in 2021, Li Jingwei began to think about finding his own parents. Quote, "I realized I could not wait any longer because my parents should be getting older now. I worried that when I figure out where I am from, they might have passed away," he said. First, he went to his adoptive parents for information, but they refused to tell him anything. Then, he tried entering his own DNA into databases. He found no answers there and decided to try the internet. It was suggested that he make a video for Douyin, including one of his maps, in the hope that viewers might be able to help him narrow down his possibilities. On December 24th, 2021, with a hand-drawn map that took him only 10 minutes to make, Li Jingwei created his video saying, "I'm a child who's finding his home. I was taken to Henan by a bald neighbor around 1989 when I was about 4 years old. This is a map of my home area that I have drawn from my memory." The video was viewed thousands of times before police were able to narrow down possible locations. Finally, in a small village in Yunnan, a woman was found who said that her son had disappeared around 1989. At first, the two talked by phone and got to know each other, but when she mentioned a scar that her son had on his chin from falling off a ladder, Li Jingwei knew in his heart that he had found his mother. This would also be confirmed by DNA tests. Sadly, he would not have the chance to see his father again, as his father had passed away. On January 1st, 2022, he was reunited with his mother, who has not been named, along with a sister and brother he had never met in Henan province. Li Jingwei was so moved, he fell to his knees, and his siblings had to help him up. With trepidation, he removed his mother's coronavirus mask to examine her face. He said the two of them even had the same teeth. Now, the entire family is planning an outing on Lunar New Year to his father's grave, so Li Jingwei can pay his respects to his father and tell him that his son is finally home. On his Douyin profile, he summed everything up best by saying, 33 years of waiting, countless nights of yearning, and finally, a map, hand-drawn from memory. This is the moment of perfect release. Thank you, everyone who has helped me reunite with my family. Cases cracked. I would like to thank BBC.com, CBSNews.com, The Guardian, CNN.com, The New York Times, The Washington Post, and NPR. Of course, the biggest thank you goes to Christy Arnhart for researching and writing up today's cases, and here she is now to discuss them with us. Christy, I was watching television with Mrs. Brain Scratch the other night, and the question of China's one-child policy came up, and I thought we needed to do a little research on that. So is it still there? Let's let the audience know what's going on with it.
Well, there's been some very recent updates to that. According to Wikipedia, it was started in 1980 to deal with overpopulation, but it was very controversial. It was modified in the mid-'80s to allow rural parents a second child if the first was a daughter. In 2015, the government removed all remaining one-child limits, establishing a new two-child limit. In May of 2021, they loosened the two-child limit to a three-child limit, but then turned around in July and removed all limits as well as penalties for exceeding them. So it does not exist.
Wow. Excellent. Pretty interesting how it was like such a firm law and then just kind of loosens up. And really, I mean, it seems like from 2015 on to current, like there was just a very rapid motion to change that. Hopefully that'll help. I don't know if it will completely eliminate a black market for kidnapped children, but I think that'll put a real serious ding into it and kind of take out these considerations like the story we heard about, oh, there was this couple that wanted to get married. They didn't have enough money, so they went and stole a kid. Like, you know, thankfully, those types of considerations, I think, will be kind of out of play now with these laws changed.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really do. There have been a lot of cases in recent years of families being reunited with their missing sons. An initiative called Tianyuan, which is Chinese for reunion, has helped find more than 8,000 children taken from their families.
Wow.
There is also now an app named the same thing to help police collaborate on cases of this nature. Now, the sad thing is, for the few happy endings we hear about, we know there are many more stories that don't have that happy ending yet.
Yeah, definitely. And I know there's been some examples that you sent me to look at as well, where sometimes the biological parents are found and they don't want the child back in their life. So there's all kinds of different outcomes on this. Thankfully, the two stories we're talking about today, pretty clear cut on that front. But there was another thing that came up and we kind of glossed over it a little bit in the actual script. And that's the use of biometrics, how China collects them, how they use them. We know that it seems like facial recognition kind of played a little bit of a role in solving one of these cases. Can you give us just a little more insight into what the problem is with biometrics? What's going on in China with that?
Yeah, I found an article with South China Morning Post. It's a UK-based technology firm ranked 96 countries on how extensively they use their biometrics. China scored the worst for biometric data collection and handling, with a lack of safeguards for its use by public authorities and private employees cited. So that's not good. No.
Yeah. And I bumped into a story about like even a zoo in China decided that they were going to start using facial scanners for you to get into the zoo. Like if you had a pass, I guess like an annual pass, it used to be a fingerprint. Like you would go up and put your fingerprint on and we'll let you in. I believe it was an attorney. I think it was an attorney someone wound up suing the zoo, saying, no, I never gave you permission to capture my facial image like that. And I mean, it turned into a nothing settlement. He got like $160 back, probably the price of the annual pass.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit of at least a directional push for, hey, we need to have more clarity around where this is being used and how it's being used. From what I understand, like everything out there is using facial scans now. Like if you go up to an ATM to pull out cash, like there's a facial scan that's happening. So yeah, it seems like facial scans very, very common. They're much more so than we're seeing here so far.
Oh, yeah. Reports say there were drones flying around with facial recognition software looking for anyone breaking curfew during the coronavirus lockdowns. I mean, there are even stories of Chinese companies that have been permitted to monitor their employees' brain waves to check their productivity at work. That just...
You can do that? Christy, I'm sending a little headset your way that you need to start wearing.
If I see a drone outside my window, I should worry, right?
Right. A little drone with a speaker on it saying, Christy, get back to work. Keep writing.
You're wandering. Get back to work.
Kind of, I mean, that sounds like sci-fi scary, being honest. But absolutely. I mean, we know the technology's there for doing this stuff. So it's really, how is it implemented and are people agreeing to use it? And that seems to be part of the big issue that's going on there. But I don't want us to lose focus on what today's episode about. Thankfully, 2 cases that demonstrate the power of awareness of missing persons cases. We have Guo Gangtang on his motorcycle using signs, and then eventually a movie being made about it. And then we have Li Jingwei drawing up a map from his memory, which, by the way, is kind of beautiful, almost a piece of art in itself. You guys saw it during the episode. And then taking that to the internet and finding his family. So 2 very good outcomes. Christy, we really appreciate your help on this. Thank you so much for doing all this research and writing this up. We've got some other people to thank right now. Thank you, PayPal supporters Larissa Mertshank, Barbara T., and Hillary Green. For over 6 years, we have always run limited commercial ads here on YouTube. We can't do that without support. If you'd like to help keep the channel growing and going, please visit lordandarts.com. There, you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even just buy us a coffee, like Dr. Gunsmith recently did. We know that learning about the mechanisms that help support and find justice in these cases is important to understand the many unsolved cases we also cover, and we really appreciate your support in allowing us to continue doing that. Remember, you can get another Lord and Art story every week on the Seriously Mysterious podcast. A new episode is coming tomorrow and every Tuesday after that. Visit seriouslymysterious.com and remember to subscribe on your favorite podcatchers. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon below if you'd like to catch one of our weekly Secret Studio live shows. And of course, I'll be back with a new unsolved mystery for you on Friday, right here on the Lord and Arts channel.